to. Now, you might look at something else and say, now that's really bad, they ought to do something about it. That's kids and guns. And that's not something that you control, that's something that we try and do something about here. But you might look at it as an American parent and not involved in a business. You might say, now they really need to do something about that, and if they can't, we have a serious problem in this country. And we're trying to do something about it. People watching here today are saying the same thing about some of the problems that we're discussing here. They need to do something about it. How are they going to do something about it? You're saying, give us till April 10th or 11th, and we'll have the problem solved, or something like that.
No, we said we have a video game conference.
I understand. We're going to regulate ourselves, give us till April 10th or 11th, and we will satisfy not the needs of Senator Dorgan, Lieberman, and Senator Cole, the needs of the American people to see this industry regulated in a, quote, proper fashion. Well, maybe we'll be around on September 10th and 11th, and we will not have taken action by then, and maybe we will. But there is a serious problem here, a real serious problem. And the fact that you find much with which to disagree with each other on this morning, I think is encouraging. I mean, you know, it indicates that you're not here in any lockstep way, that you really have some concerns about what each other are doing, and are worried perhaps that you're going to, what, kill the goose that's laying the golden eggs. And you can. That could happen. And I wouldn't be surprised that in your corporate offices you are concerned about that. Because you are treading on very sensitive area here. And we will do everything we can to protect the American interest, considering our constitutional restrictions. But we will do everything we can. And I think we can do considerable. We don't want to. You know, and I'm not really suggesting, we want you to take care of your problems yourself, but I hope you walk away with one thought today, that if you don't do something about it, we will. And from where I'm sitting, if you walk away with that thought, then I'm satisfied that this hearing has had some real positive possibilities to it. Thank you very much, Senator Lieberman.
Senator Dorgan.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Let me ask Mr. Johnson, in a typical video arcade, I saw one before Thanksgiving at the mall in Minneapolis, the largest mall of America, I believe they call it. Would you find Mortal Kombat,
Yes.
Night Trap?
You wouldn't find Night Trap, no. To my knowledge, I've certainly never seen Night Trap out in the commercial
Would you find Sega's version of Mortal Kombat in that arcade?
Well, in the coin-op, Mortal Kombat is not put out by either Sega or Nintendo. It's put out by a Illinois company.
Is there any supervision in those arcades that you're aware of? I mean, the reason I ask the question is I don't see a bunch of college sophomores crowding that arcade. I saw a bunch of kids playing video games. And the question is, if you've got video arcades where kids spend hours playing video games, is there any basis for believing that some of the more violent games are out of the reach of young children? In my judgment,
no,
not.
Absolutely not. And in fact, that's why if you look in the commercial coin-op side of the industry, and that's why it's so important that you understand the differentiation between the two. Night Trap, as an example, is not a coin-op piece. It is not out in coin-op. If you look through the list of the pieces that are available for the home market and the children, the vast majority of those are not out in coin-op. The one that we have spoken of today by name, of course, is Mortal Kombat. It is out in coin-op, and that is the one that where I'm telling you the market pressure has started to exert immediately. That game was released, and I already know of countless numbers of owner-operators of video games that have had to pull it from location because of location pressure that says, I won't have this for my public. I'm getting pressure from parent groups, from PTAs, get it out.
Well, that's a helpful sign to the extent that parents know what their children are playing in these arcades. All of you in the previous panel as well have talked about parental supervision. I think all of us would agree with that. Does anybody here have any notion of how many babies are born this year out of wedlock? Mr. White, do you?
Yes, right down.
Over 1 million. Over 1 million. 800,000 of whom will never learn the identity of their father during their lifetime. Now, if you take a look at what's happening in this country with respect to children who are growing up without supervision, without the parents that you so blithely say should supervise, I agree. There ought to be parent supervision and strong parent involvement in education and their children's viewing habits and so on. The fact is, in many cases, there aren't parents. What do you do about those kids? Do you just say, well, here we're going to lay this on the market and let the buyer beware? If some kid can get access to it, fine. I understand that when Night Trap was released, it was not rated, and I might be wrong, but I understand that the first time you rated it at the 13 level. Is that not correct?